um, or that which you want to be able to put or nail to digital privacy is to say the protection of personal information, or those measures you put in place to just protect this personal data. And you ask, what are the personal data you will ask for? What are the personal data that is being generated by these technologies? You have a person's name, you have your location, online username. It can be anything as far as associated with an individual. It then becomes a personal data. And you look at it, why do we then talk about privacy in the digital world? We have the social media there, you have the AI, the nanotechnologies, and it's important that we talk, or the talk about privacy becomes forefront of every of our conversation. You want to be able to safeguard personal information. When I use a particular platform, um, when I use a particular, say, social media platform, or when I use a particular online vendor or online services to carry out maybe one activity, I should be able to get the guarantee that information that I'm submitting on that particular platform is being protected. You don't want a case where for every information that we have there. I submit you probably some sensitive information, maybe my health status, or maybe submit information when it comes to even where I live and all of that. I want to have that assurance that these informations are being protected. It's also important that when this information are submitted, you also want to give that assurance that the information that's been protected will not be used for misuse. We've had cases where people had complained about targeted campaign. I have submitted my information in this particular application, and I feel like after I submitted the information there on that platform, the information is then being used on other platform. We've had cases like the Facebook Cambridge Analytics campaign. So you want to also give that assurance that information that is being provided will also be protected from data breaches and misuse. Another thing is also to be able to prevent manipulation and control. With the continuous targeted data we've gotten recently, or that you keep getting from applications. You want to have this comfort that when I submit this information, you don't then go ahead to use that information to provide or to carry out some certain activities that is not able to influence my decision. Then also, when we talk about privacy before it even comes to the digital world, privacy has been tagged as human right in itself. That I only give you consent. I only give you consent to be able to share certain information that have been provided with you. I only give you consent, and that consent in turns then becomes human right. As we've seen. So you also want to be able to uphold fundamental human rights in when it comes to the digital world. Then maintaining autonomy and dignity. Information that I've given to you should solely be used for the reason I've given to you. Should only be only accessible by the platform I've provided that information to. The information should then not be provided to other platforms, or should not just be made available to other systems that have provided that information to. So then we look at it, in as much as we have the digital privacy, those measures that have been put, because you look at it, when you have these measures, or when you have the measures you're putting in place, why are you putting those measures in place? To protect personal information. Remember, I had said that privacy will only be the definition for privacy will always come at the context at which you are looking at it. It could be information privacy, communication privacy, and also individual privacy. Then you now we look at say digital privacy. So for us to be putting security measures in place, for us to be putting the necessary controls in place to protect this personal data that is provided, it means there's an external factors that present an ongoing constant attack, or present an ongoing activity that could cause damage to privacy itself. And we have things around threat to privacy. We look at it at different technology levels. So first we look at it at the application level. You know, with the continuous advent. So, for instance, in Nigeria, we have everybody has to now register to the NIN, where provide your data information, or NIN is supposed to be that our information system when it comes to the nation. And you will find out that this application, you then have to have this application then stores personal data, from the government systems to all of our education systems that we have. Maybe when I was trying to learn, get into university, I have to do some registration. I have to provide my personal information. So there has been threat to those systems, when they are being collected like that. You see them, they've been attacked on government infrastructure, there've been attack on all of these systems. So there's also threat on at privacy when it comes to the application level. You also want to look at it at the threat to privacy at communication level, with the use of all our communication system, email for instance, or even the ISP provider that we use for instance, there are also the threat. There's also this continuous attack to them. We are all there's the part of where you're saying, oh, for this data that I'm providing, or how can I guarantee that the communication that I have through email, say I send an email for myself to Chinemerem, how do I guarantee that that information only just goes from my hand to Chinemerem? How am I not sure that there have been some interception or that information is being provided to other people? So you also have that threat. And this threat will also come out to say, oh, maybe there are some monitoring tools out there, or maybe logging of the information when it comes to the email. So you have threat to privacy at system level. When you use when we use this system, say you have a computer that you use, or you have your own personal system. You also want to be sure that information that is stored on your system cannot be you can't have accidental loss, or you can have destruction, you can have accidental loss on that information. So there's also threat around when I store something on my computer, or how am I able to prevent, or do I have an individual or a malicious individual that's trying to access my system and trying to get access to the data, confidential information that is stored. Then even at system level, you can look at it, your personal mobile devices, the information that is stored on it. Are you certain that and you don't want to have a case where there are malicious activities. Say, for instance, there's an unauthorized access to that information, those confidential information on your mobile. There's also threat to privacy when it comes to audit trail. You can see with all of these communicating technologies, these technologies generate large amount of logs, and with this log that is generated, you also want to be able to look at it. These logs that are generated sometimes might contain personal information. To what extent are these logs protected? To what extent in such a way that when these logs are being aggregated, probably collated together in a particular source, to what extent is it protected? There's also threat at that level in to privacy when it comes to audit trail. Logs that are generated, you find that they contain personal data, and how is this the personal data protected? From the personal data that are in the logs, are you sure that they cannot be made, or they cannot accessed by malicious insider, or accessed by malicious individual? They can have access to these logs. And with all of these threats to privacy, from the application level to the communication, probably to systems, and I come up with this thought and I say, eventually, with all of the technologies that we use, or the services that we use as an individual, then it brings a question: is free indeed free? When I provide my personal information on a platform, when I provide, maybe when I participate in a particular survey that has requested for my information, when a system is asking me for a particular information, is free indeed free? All of the services that we use, are they indeed free? Is there a price that we are paying for using that particular services? And I know there's this saying that says when a product is free, it means that individual using that product, you are the price. So it means that for most of the services that we all go ahead to use, from the social media application to the online shopping website, and we feel like, oh, these applications provide these particular services, then you will agree, you will then see that we as the woman using that platform are the one that is paying the price. So, and what price are we paying is the data that we provide, the various personal information, because it's this data that they then collate together to be able to carry out business, do some analysis on them, and be able to know what a particular vendors or what a large group of people need to do and all. So one thing that should always be at the back of our mind is to say, when I'm providing my detail, you want to question. I feel like after this webinar, you want to begin to question where you submit your personal data, where you provide information, because you then imagine or try to consider indeed if free is not, then if free is free indeed, because eventually free is not so free. There's a price to pay. So, what risks do we have associated with inadequate privacy protection? Say, for instance, I use a platform, a social media app, and I've provided my information. Maybe just provided information on the knowing that there's nothing that's going to happen by this information. Then you want to now begin to look what are the risks. Or say I'm about to provide this information. What do I get to lose? You want to be able to identify what are the risks. What do they get to these malicious individuals, these unauthorized access persons? What do they get to use this data that I provide for? First thing you look at is we have the identity theft. Identity theft is where your personal information is then being used to gain, is being used for malicious activities, being used for financial gains. So imagine me, Remilekun, now my information is being collected and it's being taken to the bank and say, okay, yes, you need to authorize this particular transaction. You also want to look at it. On the other hand, risks to inadequate privacy protection has also lead to financial losses. Most organizations, with the advent of GDPR and the NDPR, most of our organizations are now prone to sanctions, which then resort to financial losses. Apart from the sanctions that comes with it, if I know that the information I submit on a platform or there's a breach on a particular platform that I have submitted my information, it causes reputation damage, really leads to reputation damage, which in turn also leads to financial losses. Because once I don't have the comfort that, you can protect the personal information that I submit to your platform, I will not then want to use your platform. So it means that you have decrease in customer, decrease in revenue, which in turn damage your reputation as a service provider, then also leads to financial loss. Then the last one, the risk is manipulation to targeted content. I feel like all of us or most of us have experienced this manipulation. You know, have you not thought about it? Say, for instance, you decide to search on something on Google, maybe the Nike shoe or the New Balance shoe, and you just go about it. You just wanted to see the latest about or get the news about these shoes, and you just go your day about it. You will notice that throughout that particular day, you begin to get information, you begin to get maybe ad, you begin to get content that are related to that show, even for the ones you didn't ask for. Those are the things that you have. So it then begins to question you. So where did I get to submit my information? Where do I get to put my information? So those are the risks you have when it comes to the inadequate privacy protection. You have the identity theft, you have financial losses, you have reputation damage, and there's manipulation to targeted control. Please confirm. Can you hear me?
Yes, Remilekun. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. I just wanted to be sure. So, we talked about the risk, and I talked about the financial losses, the reputation damage. Here are some cases of organizations that have experienced privacy breach. We have the Meta, and for Meta, this privacy breach also, and for all of this privacy breach, it costs this organization. So for Meta, we have the Meta GDPR fine, and this happened in May 2023. In the past 5 years of the GDPR enforcement, they were fined for 1.2 billion euros. That's in 2023. Imagine that large amount of money that could be diverted to other organization resources. You have Amazon too was fined 746 million. I think Metal, Metal, Amato, and this DD are one of the largest fine when it comes to data privacy issues, breaches in the world. Then come back to our own local end in Nigeria. NDPR, with the advent of NDPR, it gives some comfort to say organizations then now begin to take active measures when it comes to protecting personal data. First thing you is, I think one of the first one that we saw was this Soko lending company where they received a fine of 10 million in 2021. People had reported to them that they were maliciously using personal information that we provided to the threatening customers and all of that. They received a fine. And also in 2021, I think another fine was issued to this company for data privacy breach. So you can see, so imagine this large amount of money that can be diverted into other company resources, other company activity, being channel, being paid to find. And when you look, it's not just financial losses. It's not just financial losses. It also comes to damage reputation. Then the stamp that comes with it, that indeed, to what extent, so are you saying for information I provide on each of these platform, are you saying that they don't have the required measures in place to protect that measure? So it's just no more than the fine that comes with it. You also want to look at the resources that come to preventing evidences or going to court to be able to address all of this, and the monitoring that now comes to it. I can be able to guarantee that after this breach and this fine, there are going to be extra monitoring, extra um, extra monitoring activity for this organization, just to ensure that they are putting the necessary steps in place to protect people's information. And for all of the privacy breach that I've looked at, for the threat that I've seen, and for the threat that I've seen that is prone to organizations and individuals, then you then ask, are there repercussions for privacy breach? It's on two ends. Privacy breach affects both the organization and the individual. So, because I submit my personal data on your platform, you provided a platform for me to submit my personal data. So it's on two ends. Why organizations will suffer financial losses, damage to reputation and legal liabilities. Individuals, on the other hand, will have things around identity theft, financial fraud, and other malicious activities to them. So we then look, what should we organization do after a data breach? You know, as I said, as a result of systems computing entities that organization use, generate large amount of data. Now there's a data breach. Organization now need to take certain measures, take some steps in place to be able to like the aftermath of this data breach. What are they supposed to do? So the first thing for organizations is to first confirm the breach. You want to be able to show that, in this breach has occurred, because by confirming the breach it goes on to the next step. You're able to identify the source and the extent of the breach. What information has been compromised, this information are they retrievable, do you have some kind of sort of backup? You want to be able to be able to identify the source of those breach. Then after you be able to identify, I think the next step organization will then do is to be able to fix the vulnerabilities or contain the breach. By fixing the vulnerabilities is, you want to be able to put the measures in place. What do we need to do? How do we fix the problem? What system, what database has been breached? What measures should we put in place? You take every effort to take every effort to go ahead to fix that vulnerability, put the security measures in place. And the next one is to inform relevant parties. Maybe on the GDPR environment, in the EU environment, there's a process for where organization has to report cases of data breach. I don't know for Nigeria, but indeed, I think we are taking that measures. Those are the things that the NDPR is also trying to address, where organizations should be able to report to relevant authorities, law enforcement, the governing body, to say, oh, indeed, we have experienced a data breach and this is how we plan to follow it. Then, when you do that, you now want to take proactive measures. Remember, I have said that when all these breaches happen, it then increases. It's not just it doesn't just end in the financial losses. It doesn't end in the reputation damage. Then there's this continuous post, continuous monitoring. That's one of the things you want to do. It then means that there's an eye on you as an organization to now begin to do everything correct, cross the T's and dot the I. So you want to be able to prevent future breaches. Since you have been able to identify this was a mistake, you want to then go ahead to increase the procedures you have in place so that such breaches will not happen again in the organization. And that's to the organization. So what about individuals? I submitted my information and now there's been a data breach. My information is not being out there on this platform, or it's being used on this other platform that I had not submitted it. So the first thing, you want to review the security settings of all of those accounts. If you're able to identify where the breach has been happening, probably on the application or the platform you have submitted your information, first thing you want to be able to do is to review the security settings of the account, probably change your password, incorporate two-factor authentication, and be able to look at what are the information or what security settings the platform has provided. Review that settings and ensure that you have up-to-date security settings. And the next one is opt out of data collection. Most platforms are already aligned. You haven't see it. You can request on most vendor platform now to say, oh, I want to retrieve my information. I want my information to be removed from this particular application. You can take that next step to also do that. Then another strategy you want to adopt is limit data sharing. There's some activities that you want to do on the internet and you might want to submit your personal information. Then you then look at some information. Why are you asking for my father's name? Why are you asking for my mother's name? Or why are you asking for the school that I attended just because I want to use a shopping website? You now want to start looking at those information that you provided. If the information is too much, maybe you don't want to share them at all on this platform. Then the last option, which I also see is something that they are incorporating when it comes to this framework for addressing data breaches, to report to relevant authorities. Where you can be able to say, oh, if you submitted your information on this particular platform and now it's being used on another platform, or you feel that your data has been breached or unauthorizedly made available to other platforms. So these are the steps that individuals also advised to take when they have noticed data breach on their own end. Then we then look where are we? As I said, where were we before? Where are we now? Where are we going to when it comes to the protection of personal information? That is the future of digital privacy. We started by saying before now we are the steel economy. We moved on to the 20th and the 21st century. You then have all of these technologies, the AI, the nanotechnologies, advanced social media. So for organizations, one of the things that you want to see is to say, for all of the system that is being developed, you want to be able to ensure trust in that system. That is, you want to guarantee that while we develop the system, while we develop this platform, we also want to consider and ensure the trust of people that will be using this platform. Meeting the challenges of building digital trust should not be seen as just as regulatory or security issues. Rather, it should be seen as a way to transform digital technology. So it means that while you're developing this platform to the vendors, to the service provider, while you're putting this platform in place, don't just want to put the security measures in place or just because of security, regulatory request, or just because of some form of technical ideologies that you have. You want to see it as a sort of digital transformation. Digital privacy should not be considered as a transformation tool to how technologies interact in organization, to how technologies is being used in our day-to-day activity. So protecting privacy in today's digital world would then mean doing digital differentially. It means that you're going to be considering for the large amount of data that is generated, you're going to be considering how this information will then be, how security, how protection will be assured in all of the processes of that information or that technology that is being used. So in conclusion, as I end, the digital privacy, it transcends beyond borders. Data flows from one end to another. You have information that's been submitted on all this platform, and one of the things you want to see is many nations, including Nigeria, now begin to recognize the important need for data privacy or digital privacy. And that is why you are seeing that there have been bodies that have been established, NDPB, which is the Nigerian Data Protection Bureau, has also be established to address all of the concern when it comes to digital privacy in Nigeria. You have the GDPR for the EU. And one thing you want to see is that for every organization or even as individuals that neglect digital privacy or that neglect taking proactive measures to protecting their personal information, there are always consequences or there are always repercussions on them. So it means that for organizations to be able to protect and ensure compliance with digital privacy, you must then go ahead to adopt the best practices when it comes to data management and data protection. And these are the things you will see my colleague will be presenting in the presentation. The roles of this compliance body, the roles of the regulatory body when it comes to ensuring digital privacy, and what CyberVagin gets to offer when it comes to helping organizations achieve digital privacy differentially as a tool for transformation. So thank you, and that's all from my end.
Thank you so much, Remilekun. Thank you for breaking down the concept of digital privacy. Thank you for telling us the threats and the risks associated with digital privacy and what an organization can do after a breach and what an individual can do after a breach. Likewise. So if there's something that stuck with me, it's that there's no free service that is actually free. Our data is the price to pay. So right now we'll be having the second poll before our second speaker, Eseoghene. Second poll is currently on our screen, and it states which of the following is the right of a data subject. The right to access, right to rectification, right to erasure, or all of the above. Please let's engage. From what I can see here, we are all on the right path. All of the above. So a data subject has the right to access, right to rectification, right to erasure, and my next speaker will be breaking these down in an expertise way. So Eseoghene, let's have you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Essie. I can hear you.
Okay. So you're welcome to our privacy and online identity. We'll be focusing on data protection, what Nigerian Constitution says about it. All right. So what does the Nigerian Constitution say about data protection? So in Nigeria, data protection is a fundamental human
Hi,
right.
Essie. Sorry to cut you short. Are you currently sharing?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
At the moment, no, we can't see your screen.
Okay.
Remember, if you can stop sharing.
I think I'm not sharing. I think Ese should just take over. I'm not sure.
Essie, you can start now.
Can you see my screen now?
Definitely, we can see your screen.
All right. So what does the Nigerian Constitution say about data protection? So in Nigeria, data protection is a fundamental human right, and we can see that in Section 37 of the Nigerian Constitution, which states that the privacy of citizens, their homes, correspondence, telephone conversation, and telegraphic communications is hereby guaranteed and protected. The NDPA, which is Nigerian Data Protection Act, goes further to focus on the concept of data protection under the Nigerian Constitution. Note, the NDPA is the main data protection law in Nigeria. So NDPA was signed into law by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Monday, June 12, 2023, making it the first data protection law in Nigeria. What is the NDPA for? So the NDPA is the legal framework for the protection of personal data. So aside the NDPA, we have other regulations and laws in Nigeria aside from the NDPA. We have the Cybercrime Act. We have National Identity Management Commission Act. We have National Cybersecurity Policies, Strategies, and the rest on my screen. So the Cybercrime Act focuses on cyber offense, protecting of evidence as regards cyber offense. The National Identity Management Commission is a legal framework for the management of national identity information in Nigeria. So all these are laws and regulations we have in Nigeria, but the main data protection law in Nigeria is the NDPA, because the NDPA focuses on data protection, while others focus on an aspect of data protection. So these laws, who are these laws applicable to? So if you're an organization, an entity that collects personal information, if you process personal information or you share personal information of individuals, these laws are applicable to you as an organization. So what does Section 63 of the NDPA talks about? So basically, this section says that if other laws is conflicting with data protection with the NDPA as regards data processing, the NDPA supersedes every other law if there is a conflict of interest between other laws and NDPA. So why is data protection law, why are they relevant? Why are they crucial? So in today's digital world, we all use the internet. So according to Earthweb, 5.47 billion people uses the internet daily. So people use the internet for various purposes like research, communication, where you send mails, social interaction, financial transaction. We use it for a whole lot of things. Now, while using it for these purposes, a lot of informations are shared over the internet. Informations like your general personal information and sensitive information. General information like your name, your email address, your telephone number, sensitive information like your BVN, NIN, all these informations are shared over the internet. Hence the need for these laws to help safeguard individual online identities. So what do these laws, what roles do these data protection laws play in protecting individual identities? First, under the NDPA, for all organizations that collects personal information of individual, before the organization can collect the personal information of an individual, it needs to get consent from that individual. So an individual must consent before the information can be collected, processed, stored, or shared by an organization. So in our line of business, I've met an organization that was carrying out background check on employees without even getting consent of these employees. So the NDPA ensures that things like this are avoided. And if an organization goes ahead to continue in that part, the organization can be sanctioned by NDPA. Okay, so data protection law also helps organization. It protects the individual on how the organization safeguard their personal information. So it ensures that organizations don't collect more than the required information in any processing. So if what is needed for processing is your name and your phone number, organization should not go further to collect your BVN, your NIN, or any other information, just what is required. So an organization does not have the right to collect a whole lot of information that is not needed, maybe because they feel they will need it for future purpose. Also, the law ensures that organization puts in place measures to protect these information. Example, sensitive information. The law ensures that these organizations encrypt the sensitive information. All right. So how can as a business, you need to be transparent about data practices. And for you to do this, you need to how can a business be transparent about data practices without disclosing confidential information? By having a website privacy policy. So this website privacy policy explains to the people who are going to be using your website what information you will be collecting from them. So the privacy policy talks about the organization, who you are as the organization, the location of the organization, the phone number of the DPO, and their rights as data subjects. So in the website privacy policy, the rights of data subjects are there, like the access rights, the right to rectification, the right to deletion, and other rights are in the website privacy policy. So by doing this, as an organization, by having the website privacy policy in place, you have been able to be transparent about your data practices without disclosing confidential information like trade secrets. Okay, so if an organization is not compliant are there penalties for breaching the law? Yes. 1, under the NDPA, the organization can be fined. 2, imprisonment. 3, maybe the both. So let's talk about the fine. First, the higher maximum amount shall be greater of 10 million naira and 2% of annual gross revenue in preceding financial year. So what this basically means is that as an organization, if you are fined as an organization, if you're earning if 2% of your annual gross salary of your annual gross revenue is higher than 10 million, you will be paying 2%. But if 2% is not up to 10 million naira, then you'll be paying 10 million naira. So for the second one is for data processor and data controller, not of major importance. So for this part, if your annual gross revenue, if 2% of your annual gross revenue is more than 2 million naira, then you'll be paying the 2%. But if 2 million naira is greater than 2% of your annual gross revenue, then you'll be paying 2 million naira. Okay, so here at CyberVergence, we have a digital platform that helps automate the compliance process. So the platform helps organizations to stay compliant with relevant cybersecurity regulations. And also, automation helps reduce the manual effort and saves time. How does this platform works? First, as a user, you get onboarded on the platform. Then you sign up. Then you select the regulatory standard, in this case, NDPA. Then you comment on the regulatory standards. You move to the next step where you provide answers on this platform and also upload evidences on the platform. The platform tracks and computes regulatory standards. The next step, the consultant would then log into the platform, generate reports on the platform, and then file with the regulatory body, in this case, NDPC, which is the supervisory regulatory body for NDPA. Then the final step will be receiving your compliance certificates when NDPA deems fit and see that, yes, you are good to go. Okay, so as let me add to this. At CyberVergence, we are NDPCO. So we help with compliance, help implement NDPA in organizations. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eseoghene. Thank you so much for showing us our data rights and highlighting the CyberVergent B2B SaaS platform. So it's basically an automation platform. It revolutionizes cybersecurity, privacy governance, risk, compliance across both cloud and on-premise services. So we can work in Nigeria and for global enterprises. And if you need to do a demo or a POC, I would drop on the chat our contact information, contact email, where you can reach us and have a feel of this platform and let your organization know and see that compliance is a way for us, and not just compliance. It's not about following your rules, but integrating them into your business DNA. So we'll be having the last poll of today, and yes, thank you guys for coming to our webinar. So this is our last poll for today. Please engage. I will be dropping our contact information on the chat. Last poll says, which approach will you prefer to achieve compliance with data privacy in your organization? Automation, manual process, or in-house team management? So we have 93% of people going for automation. Please engage. With that, thank you so much for joining our webinar. I hope you've taken out valuable insights, use cases, and what your organization needs to do and not to do when it comes to digital privacy. And once again, our contact information is on the chat. If you need to demo our platform and see how your organization can improve its compliance, its governance, it's right here. Just send us a message. Thank you very much for coming to our webinar. And yes, thank you so much.